Hello, this is the second video in a series documenting the development of a altitude-controlled balloon that I'm working on. And in the first video, we discussed the design and the goal of this balloon. And so the goal is to have a large balloon that carries a payload up to altitudes beyond hopefully 50,000 feet. But most importantly, the balloon will be able to control its altitude very finely by venting helium through a valve. And this sets it apart from most other balloons, amateur ballooning videos that you will see on websites such as YouTube, because those simply rely on the balloon to get up to a bursting altitude and then use a parachute to descend. But for us, we don't use a parachute and we don't want the balloon burst. We just vent to hover at a certain altitude and then vent even more helium to descend safely, hopefully. And so here's the realized design that we talked about in the first video. And as you can see here, most of the components are still, again, from the first video. So this is our flight computer, which records temperature and altitude data every second to this SD card. And it receives this data from a 1-unit thermometer and altimeter, which is mounted to the outside. We have a GPS, so we can track the position of the balloon and hopefully find it when we need to recover it. We have a relay, which we can use to actuate the valve that will be connected to the balloon and vent helium. And we have a camera here, which can see out and get great images of the landscape. And so we've done the math to find the POV of this camera, and we have it looking out through this window. And based on the math and some testing, we made sure that the window doesn't include the view of the camera at all. So that's great. If you look out through the camera, all you'll see is the landscape below. And we have all of these components mounted on this plastic board with 2-inch standoffs between the board and the bottom of this styrofoam cooler because we need to have some things under. Most importantly, let me get the wire, we have a 12-volt battery pack which is connected to this wire, and we can use this to power both the flight computer as well as the relay. And for longer flights, we'll also have a heating pack, a chemical heating pack, which we can use to make sure that the temperature stays safe for the electronics inside this cooler. And we have this cooler because at the altitude we're going to attain, the temperature gets extremely low, and we need to make sure that our electronics will stay working. So this is the full payload. And we connect the payload to the balloon using this PVC piece, which we fabricated using some plumbing parts from Home Depot. So there's a tube section as well as an interface section with a swage lock fitting. And this pressure fitting allows us to connect a 1/4-inch tube, to the balloon. And the balloon neck slips over the tube like so. Oh, it's a little hard. So the balloon neck will fit over this pipe, and the diameters are very close, so it gets a good seal. There's a lot of friction here, and though it's pretty good, we're gonna add some reinforcement in the mounting, like a zip tie or something, to make sure it stays put. And the most important part of this PVC piece here is that it has these brass hooks on it, because we can then suspend using some sort of string this payload from these hooks. So the payload fits in this plastic container, like so, and we even cut out a little window so that you can see through the camera. And then the balloon, along with the PVC fitting, will be suspended over top, and we'll run monofilament lines down from each of these 4 brass hooks to the corners of this container. And so we mentioned a valve earlier in the video, but we don't have the valve yet. And we don't actually need it because the next video is going to be a tethered test flight. And because we have a tether on it, we won't need altitude control. And the flight is instead meant to test all of the components inside here and make sure that they function properly without any hitches before we introduce the additional complication of altitude control. So thank you. That's it for this video. And the next video will be footage from the test flight.